What's going on, Tech Feed? Welcome back to another episode of TechnoBuffalo's Driven. Up this week, we're gonna go all muscle car on ya and talk about the brand new, just announced C7 Corvette Stingray. The Stingray name is coming back and coming back with a fury. Let's go ahead and get some American muscle going. So after what seems like years of speculation last week, GM took the wraps off the brand new C7 Corvette. And what we didn't know was what it was going to be called, and they are bringing back the old Stingray name, which we haven't seen since 1969. I loved the original Stingray. It was one of the most beautiful cars of the time. But since 1969, not much has really changed on the Corvette. Yeah, we've gone to C5, C6, C7. The exterior has changed and done a little bit, but the car has remained relatively stagnant, been totally passed by its competition. It was once thought of as the American Ferrari, the American answer to Porsche, and it was that for a few years, and then became just a pretty car to look at and a really crappy car to sit in, because the interior looked like it probably belonged in a Chevy Cruze and not in a $60,000 Corvette. So GM pretty much started from total scratch on this guy, and it is an absolute stunner. So let's go ahead and run through what the car is going to have. It's going to start at a pretty reasonable $50,000-ish, but of course that goes straight up super fast. Being powered by a 6.2 liter 8-cylinder V8, putting out same horsepower pretty much as the last generation, 450 horsepower with the same foot-pounds of torque. It's going to deliver 16 to 26 mpg. It's got all kinds of modern fuel-saving technology, direct injection, and what's saving the most fuel is in the weight. It weighs a little bit over 3,200 pounds, and it's pretty much all aluminum and fiberglass. So all that steel stuff is out. Aluminum is stronger and it weighs less, meaning you can do much more with the car. The power to weight ratio on this guy, GM is saying, is better than a 911 or an Audi R8. So this thing should be absolute screamer, claiming to get you to 60 in under 4 seconds. So this car totally looks different than anything else we've seen on the road, but it's still vintage Corvette. The front end is totally similar to what we've seen in the past, with the more detailed HID headlamps and a much greater surface definition and tension in the hood, which, like the roof panel, is rendered in carbon fiber to shave weight. For reference though, the C7 looks to be about the same size dimensionally as the 911, but with a way longer 106.7 wheelbase than the 911. The biggest, radicalest, craziest change to the car though is undoubtedly in its butt end, which is unlike any Corvette that we've seen before it. It's taken the similar lighting cue for what we saw on the Camaro. We don't have those round lamps anymore. You know, I've got the square ones that GM has started to introduce with the current generation Camaro. And the thing looks absolutely beautiful in my opinion. Automotive journalists though have been super polarized. Some love it, some hate it. Some are saying it's absolute blasphemy for GM to do that. Personally though, I think it looks hot. But I'm going to wait until I can see one of those suckers in person. I wasn't out at the Detroit Auto Show. It was right after CES, and I was stuck with the flu. So unfortunately, I couldn't go and see it. But GM is saying this guy is going to hit the road very soon. In fact, the very first production Stingray sold at the Barrett-Jackson auction for a little over $1 million. This guy's gonna be on the roads very, very soon. So I mentioned the interior in the old Corvette was super gross. If you guys saw it, it was old plastic. I mean, it looked like it belonged in an Econobox, not an American sports car. And the interior is a totally huge departure from what we saw before. So GM designers said they want to make the interior appear more intimate. So what they did was they gave it a nice little thong with a little lacy number up top. Just kidding. They started with a 14.1-inch smaller diameter steering wheel and worked their way out. So with the exception of just two minor pieces, the cabin air filter and the roof panel latch, absolutely nothing carries over from the C6. Designers are calling this a fully wrapped interior with soft touch surfaces everywhere, from door armrests to the side transmission tunnels, absolutely everywhere. Cabin's gonna feature real aluminum trim and optional carbon fiber accents and be available in a totally radical number of colors, including black, gray, and Kalahari brown, which actually looks pretty hot. And the highlight of this car is an 8-inch LCD screen sitting right above the steering wheel. So that's where all your gauges are gonna be, your tach, your speedo, and everything else. But you can configure this now to do a ton of different things. You can measure G-force. And GM is saying there'll be new updates that are going to come out that are going to give the car even more features as it goes. So it's good. Finally, we're getting a modern interior on a Corvette. LED steering is absolutely gorgeous. It's a great way to customize the driving experience for the driver. And I'm really proud to see this come from an American company. Finally, GM has stepped up their games. There have been rumors for years about what the next Corvette was going to be. Rumors it might be mid-engine. Rumors it might be some crazy space-age material. It's what we got though was just a vintage Corvette with a big-ass engine, big-ass roar, and a moderate price tag to go with it. GM is hoping that those that can afford this car, or those that can afford even cars twice the value, are going to look at the Corvette as a tremendous way to get that performance. 0 to 60 in 4 seconds, 450 horsepower. You are getting a ton of awesomeness all crammed into that Corvette body. I'm super excited to take a look at it, super excited to drive it. I can't wait to get behind the wheel and see how loud I can make it scream, and also see if I can get myself almost rested again for doing donuts. Thank you guys for watching another episode of TechnoBuffalo's Driven. Be sure to stay tuned for the tech feed for all the latest and greatest tech content. And of course, Driven coming at you every Wednesday. For now, I'm John Rettinger, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Be sure to subscribe right here. Every year in January, the geeks and the nerds of the world gather in Vegas for the Consumer Electronics Show. It's a pretty eclectic mix of journalists, enthusiasts, and industry insiders.